Hello everyone. Welcome to Core Learning and Knowledge, your resource for the best fully downloadable online lessons. Today we're going to be talking about website credibility. Basically, how do you know what information to trust online, which websites are good, reliable, trustworthy, credible websites, and which ones can we not trust. So today we're going to start off with a warm-up here. We have 3 warm-up questions. If you are in class right now, please pause the video and answer these questions. For everybody else, we are going to continue on. Number 1, can you trust everything you see/read on the internet? Explain your answer. Well, I don't think anybody would truly answer this as yes, you can trust everything. Pretty much everybody who's been online has been a victim of a hoax or some malicious software or some fake information online that they read, thought as true, or thought semi-true, and were taken advantage of. So then we don't trust what we see online when we are taken advantage of and know that there are false information out there. So how do you know what to trust online? Number 2 there. Well, most people just go off of their gut, say this looks like a good website, or I've heard of this website before, and they just think, well, I think I can trust this, so I'm going to. They don't really have a method. Well, today we're going to be learning a good method, the easiest method I know, the ABCD method, to make decisions about whether a website can be trusted or not. So number 3 then, list names of websites that you can trust. So most people will have their trusted sources of information. That's great. We want to keep using those. Maybe CNN.com, maybe BuzzFeed, whatever sources that somebody has, that's great. If you have a proven track record with a website of being able to trust it, then keep using it. But today we're going to be learning the ABCD method, mostly for when you're doing research or looking up new information. When you really have no background and you really need to know, can you trust something or not? So our objective today then is to use the ABCD method to determine if a website is credible. So we want to know, using the ABCD method, if we can trust a website or not. So our first letter of the ABCD acronym is A, which stands for author. So can you trust the author? Because if you can trust the author, that'll tell you a lot about the website. Who's making the website or who's writing the content of a website really goes a long way. So we can find the author usually at the top of the page or the bottom of the page. Top of the page if it's a company or a corporation, bottom of the page if it's like an article or a specific page written by one person. So like news sites, you'll find the name of the news company at the top and then the specific author of the page down at the bottom. Now if it's a big company, say it's a Facebook, there's not going to be an author of each page. It'll just be the company logo at the top. That's the author. So if you know who wrote the information, that'll tell you a lot if you can trust it. There's a big difference between just having a kid doing a school project and a professor who spent his whole life studying a subject. Examples of some sites that we can trust would be, or authors that we can trust would be professors, like I was just saying. Professors usually have spent their whole life studying one specific topic, so they can usually be pretty trustworthy. Authors that have a proven track record, so an author who's written, say, 10 books about a specific subject or about other subjects even, they have a lot of credibility because they've done that before. And then well-known big-name players out there, especially news sites, CNN, BBC, they usually have a lot on the line when it comes to their own credibility and their own reliability, and they don't want to make any mistakes, so they usually try to do their best job. Untrustworthy usually is kids. Any students doing home projects, it's great if you want to do something at home, but it's not usually the best source because they don't have expertise. And then random people. There are a lot of sites out there that are wikis or answers out there that just anybody can put an answer up. I can't tell you how many times I've seen answers.com have false answers. I don't think it's that people are purposely putting false information out there, although some do. It's just that they don't know the right answer. So if you type in a full question and you go to answers.com or Wikipedia, they can have false information on there, so it's pretty hard to trust those. Then moving along, we have our B for bias. So does the website give you all the information, or is it trying to convince you of something? Because if it's trying to convince you of something, it's not letting you decide. It's trying to get you to believe what they believe. And when we have a credible site, we want them to give us all the information and let us decide. So we can't trust any biased websites really at all. So some examples of trustworthy and untrustworthy sites. when it comes to bias. We want trustworthy ones that give us the pros and the cons. They give us both sides of the information and let us decide. Most news sites in the free world will give you most information from both sides. Yeah, they might have a slight bias or even leaning a bias one way, but for the most part in the free world we have reliable news sites. Not so true in countries like Russia or North Korea or China, where the government controls the news and will only give positive information. Most news sites can be trusted. Then untrustworthy ones, obviously political sites, are just going to try to convince you of their ways. Democratic website is not going to tell you all the bad things that the Democrats are doing, and same thing with Republicans. Any negative organizations as well. Negative organizations that are expressing hate are just trying to convince you to hate as well. They're not out there to actually help you with your information at all. They just want you to believe what they're believing, and that's all they want. Next, we have negative organizations. Negative organizations really cannot be trusted at all because they're trying to get you to hate in what they believe that you should be hating, or are trying to convince you to not believe certain things. Again, these are the most biased sites that you can get, and any biased sites we just plain don't want. Moving along, we have our C, which in our acronym stands for cost. So how much was spent in making the website? The C is the easiest because basically you're looking for websites that have put the most money into making the website, and this usually is based off of the graphic design, the look and the feel of the website. So it's pretty easy to determine if a website's well made or if it's poorly made, because if it looks like it's made in, say, a mom's house, then they probably haven't put in the best research into it, haven't put in the resources that it really takes to get really great information. Whereas a really well-made website might have a whole team of researchers able to facilitate finding the best, most reliable information out there. Lastly, we have RD, which stands for the domain, which is the address of the website. So this is the URL bar at the very top of any internet browser. It'll have a wikipedia.org or a google.com. This will tell you the purpose of the website, which will give you more information about whether a website can be trusted or not. So the main types of these domains are .com, which is a commercial website, so they're out there to make money. Then we have a .org, which is a non-profit organization, so they're out there just to provide a service. And a .edu, which is pretty hard to get, it's only for educational organizations. And then .gov, which is only for government. Now, whether we can trust these domains or not really depends upon what they are. So a .gov usually is out there just to provide information for the citizens. It's not usually biased. Sometimes it is. So you want to be careful for bias in .gov, but usually it's pretty good fact-checked information. Then we have our .edus, which are only educational organizations, and educational organizations usually are pretty trustworthy. Schools, universities, stuff like that. Again, they want to uphold their good reputation. And then we have our .orgs, which most of the time are just providing a service. .orgs, though, can be untrustworthy in that they can be like a hate organization or a radical group, and that they're still not making a profit, but their information cannot be trusted. Untrustworthy domains, .biz, which is just a lower end .com, so very cheap and trying to make money off of you. .net, which is along the same lines, cheaper version of .coms. All these are just out there to make money off of you, so they're not very reliable in their domain itself. So .com's always hard to trust 100% because they're not the greatest out there. Now we're going to move on to the second video. We're actually going to practice this ABCD method. So if you want to follow the link below to the website credibility number 2, the practice, we will actually go through some websites using the ABCD method. We'll find the author, the bias, the cost, and the domain, and determine if a website is credible or not. So I hope to see you guys there.